GSL Season 1.
And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the 2026 GSL Season 1 Round of 12 Group A. We just wrapped up with our elimination match, and now we have one series remaining here in Group A. We have Zoun versus Solar, a rematch from one of the previous series. Zoun did take down Solar 2-0 earlier, and we'll see if history will repeat itself. We'll see if Solar can recover, bounce back, and make up for that earlier loss. Let's go. Let us go as we are jumping on in. We do have Zoun and Solar ready for us here on cams. Oh boy, and I'm curious to see how the veto process will change. If you recall, we did allow for some interesting maps through the veto process. I was surprised that Solar did not veto Celestial Enclave last time in the previous series. He was caught with his pants down by an 8-gauge 3-base all-in. This time, what are the vetoes? Ooh, okay, we have this time gotten rid of Celestial. Solar, he vetoes Celestial, vetoes Windowmanners, vetoes Tide the Citadel, that makes sense. Zoun vetoes Ruby, Tourmaline, and Mothership. These are all standard vetoes considering their preferred styles. Game 1, White Rabbits. Game 2, Old Republic. Game 3, 10,000 feet. Three maps that I would say are much more difficult to be defensive on, but we have seen Zoun be much more aggressive in tonight's broadcast, both against Rogue and against Solar. Now, I will say that Solar has the advantage of seeing Rogue bring Zoun down, so I'm sure Solar is inspired. I'm sure he's inspired. I'm sure he has an idea of how to approach Zoun. Let's go. Let us go as we're jumping into Game 1, jumping into our final series, the decider match. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of White Rabbit, we have Zoun. Top right, we have Solar, the South Korean Zerg. Zoun, of course, for our onside. Before we get ahead of ourselves, before we get too far into this, of course, if you want to support the GSL, you can do so via Patreon, !Patreon. We have Patreon/GSL to support the event, to help fund the event and grow the tournament even further and fund Season 3. Remember, Season 3 has not been confirmed yet. We have fully funded Season 1 and Season 2, but Season 3 has yet to be funded, so you can help support the GSL through the Patreon to make sure Season 3 becomes a reality. Otherwise, we are jumping in. And so far we have our openers. Now, as a reminder, last time they faced off, Zoun, he was being a little bit cheeky. He was going for these earlier Twilight Councils. Game 1, he went for a 3-base all-in, going into an 8-gate setup into Mass Blink Stalker. In Game 2, we saw that Solar successfully got into Mutaplay and successfully contained Zoun on 3 bases. Like, it was impressive. Like, Solar was doing well for himself. I thought that we were going to see an ace match. Solar, he was containing Zoun. We saw him stuck on 3 bases. He just could not expand. He tried multiple times. His 4th base was denied. But Zoun, he was building up that death blow of an army of Archon, Storm, Stalker, and eventually he broke out, and Solar could not stop the army. Could not stop him. It all ended then and there. It all did end then and there. From here, we are going to be settling into our first series, of course, and we'll see how our players will adjust. We shall see. So I was just noticing some graphical issues. Curious to see if they've been resolved and if they're related to some of the settings. Regardless, it is going to be hatching out. So we'll standard opener here by Solar. And likewise, we do have Zoun building up as well. Yeah, it looks like it was related. Okay. Yeah, this does look cleaner, actually. Okay. We're learning as we go. Yeah, so I apologize for potentially even some of the previous matches for looking a little bit weird and a little bit blown out. This does look a lot cleaner. Basically, on the clean feed, I had like a HD setting turned on. I was curious what it did, and it did mess a little bit when it comes to the colors and when it comes to some of the grading. Did notice a little bit late in the broadcast, but hey, you know, it's a learning process. It's our first clean feed stream of the season, and should be able to have a cleaner day 2 onwards, for sure. The clean feed will be clean, Pappy. True, true. Will be clean. Otherwise, we're about to get into our tech of choice. Stargate open into the Oracle here for Zoun, and we'll see where he takes us from here. Whether he goes for an earlier Twilight Council or not, yet to confirm. As things they poke in, they will delay the expansion. Nice pick off for the probe. So Zoun's third is going to be delayed. Behind this, going for an early Twilight Council, early council before the Nexus. Now, we have seen, like, this is the one criticism that I have of Zoun, is that Zoun, he has been going for what looks to be the same style against Solar and against Rogue earlier as well. Early Twilight Council. Now, we've seen him have some variation here, either early Blink or early Glaives. Based on the lower gateway count, it looks like Blink Stalkers, and we might see 6 gate Blink again. And it's looking like that 6 gate. I feel like if we had earlier gateways, then it would be Glaives. But yep, there it is, Blink. So Blink is our tech of choice. If it's going to be the same build, then we expect to see a gateway explosion of 4 gateways. So 4 gateways into 6 gates, then into a delayed Forge and delayed Temple Archives. And if we see that, that's the same build we saw both against Rogue and against Solar. Meanwhile, we do see that Solar, he's going for his Lair first into Roaches. He skips his Evo Chamber, he's going into a Roach heavy style. Not Ling Hydra. Yeah, Roach heavy out of Solar. Ooh, he's going for actually for an all-in. Pneumatas Carapace is going for the Dropper, or is going for the German Taxi. He's going for the Taxi. Now, if you remember, we did theorize the one situation where I actually liked Zoun's build, and that is if he's up against an all-in. And it looks like it is going to be an all-in here from Solar. He's going for the Taxi, soon to load up. Adepts, they do bust in towards the third. So far, no major damage. These are vanilla Adepts. They poke in, 3 drone kills so far. They're shading towards the natural. Oracles, they're coming from behind. They could just get 1. Yeah, 1 drone goes down, 4 in total. Adepts, they shade away. They find extra workers. But remember, Solar's all in. Like, Solar doesn't care. He commits. Solar, he's rushing across the map. You can see he's down. He went 6k Blink, and now he's teching. Forge on the way. Temple Archives on the way. That tech will not help. We need Stalkers here and now. As many Stalkers as possible. Here we go. Battery gets thrown down. He needs his batteries. He needs his static defense. Now, Blink will finish early, so Blink will be a part of this defense. This is the one situation where I feel like this build works a little bit better for Zoun, but is it enough? We've yet to see. I've yet to confirm. Because this game is about to end. Either Solar kills, either he kills Zoun or he dies trying. One way or the other. Let's go. Yeah, as we do have the link drop into the main base, 5 probes going to be going down, and Biles, they zone back some of the Stalkers. We have the 3 batteries on. The wall's open. No, the wall is left open. Leagues, they fall into the main. But what about the main push? What about the main army? So far, we get some decent blink control. Yeah, Zoun kites back. Does cut away to his battery. So far, so good. Takes down some of the Roaches. Yeah, Roaches are going down. Getting some of the Ravagers. Biles, they do not connect. And Zoun, he defends, but he still will lose 14 probes. Again, not having that wall set up at the natural base was brutal. And Solar's droning. Ooh, Solar, he does start droning up. Bearing in mind that in this defense, Zoun, he threw down his Forge. He's got +1 on the way, Charge on the way, and he has his Temple Archives as well. So I do favor Zoun coming into the mid game. I see in chats, HD filter is post-processing, sharpening, and edge detection overlay from the look of it. I will say that the HD filter made it look worse for me. It did, yeah, I would say the visual look did appear to be worse from my experience at least. So going to be having it off for the rest of the clean feed showcase. Here we go. Oracle picks in. Remember, Solar, he's trying to dread up. Remember, behind this, he was all in. He didn't really have much of an economy. Now he starts his upgrades. Road speed is now on the way. Evo Chamber's on the way as well. There's still a lot of pressure on Solar, and it looks like he's going for a secondary all-in. Yeah, Solar, he only joins up to 66. So it's basically makes, I want to say, what was it, like 8 to 9 drones? Drones up a little bit, and now setting up for the second wave, the second all-in. In a sense, it's going to be weaker, though. As Zoun, over time, his army is becoming more complex. Yeah, it does look more complex. High Templar amassing. Storm is almost done. Zoun is catching up the queens. Gets one. One queen goes down. And catching up one of the queens. Zoun does pull away, drop into the main. And Zoun is in position. Shuts down the drop. Drop is being cleaned up. Zoun shuts down the drop. Storms are ready. Again, the soup is lying to you. The soup is lying. Again, Solar, he might be maxed out, but he's maxed out in a very mid-tier army. It's a very mid army. Zoun's is equivalent, if not better. He has the high ground advantage. Storms are landing. Zoning back the army. The Lings that he caught out as well. Miscontrol of Solar. Throwing away all those Zerglings. Ay, ay, ay. He throws away so many Zerglings. Ooh, Piles are doing friendly fire. Oh, the friendly fire, Pappy. Ay, ay, ay. Solar. What's going on? The friendly fire. Fleet beacons on the way. Zoun is thinking about Sky Toss, and Solar, he's breaking. He's breaking internally. I mean, like, he's got the mental, Pappy. Yeah, you can see him shaking his head on cams. It does not feel good to be stuck with an all-in and to not gain any ground. Solar, he's losing it. He's bleeding out more roaches, bleeding out more queens. Spiles, they try to zone. They at least do zone away, but Solar's almost maxed. Sorry, Zoun is almost maxed, I meant to say. Zoun is almost maxed out. And remember, Zoun is maxing out with a superior composition. In a head-on fight, Solar cannot engage. Solar's best chance is the backstab. And you can see Solar's going for a secondary push, pushing towards the third, but Stasis Raptor's catching him out. Zoun is ready for it. He's got a wall of cannons and shield batteries. Zoun is ready. Oof. Zoun is ready for the counterattack. And soon Zoun should push. Oh god, god, god. The storm. Not like this. As Mothership has arrived, Tempest production has begun. And again, we should soon see Zoun's push. Should soon see his move out. The issue here is that Solar, the best chance he has is if Zoun pushes and then Solar backstabs and we force like a weird base trade. That's maybe best case scenario for Solar. Diving on the Roaches, diving on the Ravagers. Storm connects. Lings, they do catch out some Stalkers though. And not a bad flank there. Solar tries to slow down the main army. Free damage with the Oracles, not bad. But Jesus, Baneling's rolling in as well. that's a massive counterattack. And Zoun, can he defend? Show us the storms. Oof. Plaza connecting. Yeah, Biles connects, so we don't have any defensive storms. Miscontrol there by Zoun. Force a recall. Yeah, messy defense here. Zoun, he defends poorly. Base on the left-hand side is exposed. And Solar, he's finding some damage at least. Getting something. But it's still not going to be enough. Yeah, still not enough. 10 probe kills, but Solar throws away so much of his army. Solar's remaxing, but he's stuck with Ling Bane Roach Ravager. Again, Solar's being outscaled. And here comes down. Here comes that big push. We've been waiting for it. We've been waiting. Oh, bit of miscontrol. One Archon gets caught. Yeah, a bit of a misrally. Zealot run by towards the top side. Cloak is activated. Bane's going to be zoned away. He gets into the middle line. Drones are falling. And Zoun is overwhelming. He's breaking through these bases one after the other. Takes down the middle line, takes down the expansion. There's a bit of a counterattack with their Zealots to defend. Oracles as well. He's got his Oracles, got his Zealots. Hatchery goes down as well. That's 2 bases falling. As we tried to emphasize, Solar, he was completely all in earlier and he failed to break through. He failed to push into the bases. The all-ins, they failed time and time again. And Zoun is here. Playing it safe. He's lacking reinforcements. Solar supply blocked. Oh. Yeah, Solar getting called out. Again, Solar just doesn't really have much of an army. He's got a higher corruptor count, that will help, but his ground army is still lacking. Very much so. It's designed to like surround, to flank. Does catch the Tempest. Tempest survives. Solar, he does hit the right hand side. There is no recall. This space may fall. Banelings, they try to collapse with the main army, going for that Templar. Not bad. Templar, they get away. Mothership almost getting caught. Messy engage here from Zoun. Tanking Biles. He tanks the Biles. Likewise, Corruptors at least catch the Mothership and the Tempest. But GG. GG gets called. There's nothing left, and Zoun, he will claim game number 1. GG. Whew. GG, well played, Zoun. He will take a lead in this series. And again, Solar, he committed into a very dedicated all-in early on. He went for the German taxi, and the all-in failed. If you recall, I did mention something about Zoun's build initially. So winding it back, just to get into it a little bit here. Remember, Zoun, he went for an early Twilight Council, early Blink into 6k Blink Stalker on 3 bases, followed by delayed upgrades and delayed tech. Because of this, he had an excess amount of gateways, excess amount of Stalkers, excess amount of Blink, of course, as Blink did finish up earlier than normal, and specifically this build does excel against early game aggression. This is why we saw Zoun struggle against Rogue, because Rogue went for later aggression. He went for later 3-base all-ins. Solo went for an earlier one, which meant that the early Blink did come into play for Zoun, and he defended very, very well. Solo then followed up by a 3-base all-in, but by then Zoun, he got into his Storm, his Archons, his Templar production, into eventually Sky Toss. Zoun just excelled after the initial all-in from Solar failed. GG. GG, well played. Again, Rogue, his aggression typically came later. It was later aggression out of Rogue, typically on 3 bases. On 3 and 4 bases, that is where Rogue excelled. Solar, he went for a 2.5 base all-in instead, hitting earlier, which is where Zoun was prepared for. That's what he was prepared for. Zoun was ready, and now we're loading into game number 2, going to be loading into the Old Republic. Now, what I will say about this map is that typically 3-base aggression and 4-base aggression is heavily favored on this map. We should be seeing Solar joining. Let's go. Let us go. Spawning in the bottom hand corner, we have a Zoun for onside. In the top right, we have Solar, our South Korean Zerg. Let's go. Zoun, he is 1 game away from advancing on into the round of 8. 1 more game. Now again, welcome to the Old Republic. The Old Republic is a larger map in the map pool, longer rush distance by ground. Specifically, the 4th base is very exposed on this map. The 4th base. And if you remember, when Rogue played on this map, he did take advantage of that. Rogue, he droned. He droned up to 73 drones, I want to say. Like 73, 74 drones. He went up to 3.5 base saturation. And then he was hyper aggressive with Roach Hydra. Roach Hydra again, on with a larger, greater economy in the mid game. He went for the all-in. He went for the all-in with Roach Hydra off of 73 drones. And again, that was a later timing. It was a later push, which did catch Zoun off guard. Again, Zoun, because of his earlier Blink builds, he does struggle in the mid game, I would say. He struggles in the mid game if he's up against a player that's not being aggressive early on. We'll see how Solo will change his approach. I'm hoping the Solo drones. At the same time, we could see Zoun adapt and be aggressive instead. So I'm hoping for aggression from Zoun. I do think that playing a standard game on Old Republic is very difficult for Protoss. It's very, very difficult. Just because of the more exposed bases. We'll see. We shall see. 8-gate 3-base all-ins are not unheard of on the Old Republic, so that's something that we could embrace. We have already seen from Zoun. Glaive Adepts we could also see as well. We did see that attempted against Rogue. Show us what you got. Show us what you got. As from here, we just be taking. Hatch gas pool into a third. Should be on the horizon for Solo. Likewise, Stargate open out of Zoun. We're just calming down, settling in. Nothing crazy, nothing wild. And really, we're just waiting for the tech, waiting for the Twilight Council timing. So far, the Oracle's on the way. Third base should soon be taken. So from here, we are droning, we are saturating. From here, Zoun, by going into Oracles, is going to be able to expand, claim his third, harass across the map as well. Solo shouldn't really sustain many losses here. This is a bit of a skill check. We should be able to maintain our drones, maintain our economy, minimize losses, keep an eye on our opponents. Overlord, is going to be hunted down though. Okay. Does chase down the Overlord. Early Evo Chamber out of Solar. Now we have our first sign of tech here. With the early Chamber, this means +1 melee. This typically means Ling Hydra. We're skipping Roach production. We might still go into Banelings, but we can say with more certainty here that there are going to be no Roaches. Meanwhile, once again, early Twilight Council out of Zoun. Early Council out of our Protoss player. Now, last game it was early Council into 6-gate Blink. This game, are we going for that same build? Once again, there's no Forge. There's no Forge. If we had extra gateways, I would assume it would be Glaives, but the fact that we're delaying the gateways, it looks like 6-gate Blink again. So we should be seeing 4 gates momentarily. There's 1 in production. There's 2 in production. We should be seeing 2 more soon. Assuming that we're kind of like locked in when it comes to the build of choice. Yep, there it is, Blink. So Blink, 2 more gates. Meanwhile, Adept Shade into the mineral line. For those that are curious, this is the same build 2 games in a row for Zoun. Same build. I say that, it's only 4 gates so far. 2 done and 2 on the way. In the last game he had... No, there it is. I was waiting for the extra gateways. So 6-gate Blink. Same build 2 games in a row. Once again, I feel like this build does excel against early game aggression. But remember, Solar is not going for early game aggression. So I actually prefer Solar's position this time. I do prefer it. Adept Shade into the mineral line. No major damage. They get 1 drone, only 1. Solar does defend. And remember, from here, Zoun is going to be taking up in towards a delayed Forge and his Storm and his Temple Archives. Delayed +1. Unfortunately, Zoun rarely makes use of these gateways, unless he's up against an all-in. So that's why Zoun, in general, I'm not too fond of this build. This build does struggle in the mid-game against a more economic build. it means that Solar can freely just drone, freely expand, drone up, and doesn't really have any concerns to worry about here. There's nothing to really apply pressure from Zoun. Zoun is going for an earlier robo. Interesting. If that's going to be for a War Prism, then we could see Zoun push earlier than normal, which I would be for. Nice harass. 3 drone kills. Now, with this Prism, there's a chance we might skip Storm. Never mind. I was going to say, if we skip Storm, go for a fast War Prism, and then go for an Archon push, we could try to catch Solar off guard. But no, Storm is on the way, so we're not going for an Archon push. We're just taking up. And it's going to be a difficult defense for Zoun at the 4th. It's not about the 3rd, it's about the 4th base. That's typically what this comes down to, typically. Solar, he drones up to 80, so he's done droning. Solar, he's done droning up to 80. Now he's teching, +1 is on the way. Hydra range, Hydra speed. Solar, he'll soon be looking to max out. And his target should be the 4th expansion as Zoun attempts to expand. And again, I'll be impressed. I'll be impressed here if Zoun can maintain his 4th. I'm getting some strong deja vu here from the Rogue series. I guess the difference is that Rogue went for a Roach heavy composition. He went for Roach Hydra. Here, Storms can actually defend. True. Like, these Storms might be good enough to defend against Ling Hydra. Rogue intentionally went Roach Hydra so he could tank Storms. He could tank them. Here, Solar cannot. So with some well-placed Storms, Zoun defends. But it all comes down to the Storms, bearing in mind that because of the 4th base being so open, there's not really many choke points, so there's just so much room here for Solar to traverse. So much room. And here we go, Solar's maxed. Solar, he's maxed out. And this 4th base is going to be denied. Nice aces. But there's no saving the 4th. Ooh, that's a kill! That should not have happened. That's a kill, not a cancel. Ay. And again, like as we mentioned, like this is why Old Republic is Zerg favorite in ZVP. Protoss players, they struggle so much when it comes to taking a 4th base on this map. It is so difficult. Fleet Beacon's on the way. Zoun, he's going to try to troll up into Skytoss. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be very, very difficult here. Solar collapsing once again. Guessing some of the Nexus. And that's another kill. Oh god. The 2nd kill in a row. You can see there the observer does confirm. Oh boy. Zoun. Yeah, Zoun is falling apart here. He just cannot expand. Nice Zelaramba, okay. Does bring down the expansion, no transfuse. Okay, no transfuse. Laser collapse on the Nexus once again. This time there's a cancel. Nice Storm. Nice Storm with the Zerglings. I will say that this linear 4th base is a lot easier to secure. It is easier. Not easy, but easier compared to the low ground expansion. Considering that there's more, I should say, there are limited angles of attack. More so than the low ground. Zoun is double expanding. Solar, he rotates, he spots a Nexus. He wants it. Yeah, it does want that expand. Now, do you notice something here? As Bailey's A try to crash in, Archon's A deny. This is looking eerily similar to game 2 between Zoun and Solar. Do you recall what I'm referring to? Where in game 2, Solar, he was doing an amazing job denying the 4th base. He denied the 4th base time and time again with Mutaplay, and eventually Zoun, he couldn't take a 4th base, he couldn't expand, but he built up a death ball of a Stalker, Archon, High Templar army, and then he just A-moved. He just A-moved across the map, and he just killed Solar. Here it's looking very similar, where Zoun cannot expand, but he's building up an army. Like, this death ball is looking quite terrifying, and eventually he'll move out. What I want out of Solar to stop that from happening is Lurker Tech. I want to see, like, Solar has an economy, Solar has a bank. Look at this, he has 4,000 minerals. He has 1,000 gas. I would love to see a Lurker Den and Hive Tech and the preparation for a Lurker transition. If that doesn't happen, then Zoun could break out. Banelings are rolling in. They do not break down the front door. Lings, they attempt to engage. The 4th base of Zoun is slowly getting up. Solar still being active. Still being hyper aggressive here. You can see that Zoun is closing that gap in supply. Cloak is activated. Ooh, Storm on the Hydras. And Solar, he's bleeding out a lot of supply here. He tries to commit. High Templar is safe. Ling Bane gets punished. And Zoun, he's maxing out. Oh, again, as we mentioned, this is eerily similar to game 2 between Solar and Zoun earlier on Mothership. It's the same thing, where Solar did an amazing job denying the 4th base, but Solar never got ready for the counterattack. He's still stuck with a very fragile army and a couple of well-placed storms, and Zoun, he'll break through this. It's still close. I mean, at least Solar, he's maxed, right? Like, Solar, he has an army. The goal here for Solar should be to surround. If he can flank the army and come in from multiple angles, he can get on top of the High Templar. Being run by Will Catch an Immortal, not bad. Nice recall. Very clutch recall. Lings, they try to slip in. It's a messy wall. Yeah, it's a messy wall. 10% defending against the Hydras. We have the Spire finishing up for Corruptor production. Infestation Bit's finally on the way, but this pit is so late. Again, look at the bank. Like, we had so much money here to tech up. We should have already had a pit and a hive and a Lurker Den, but none of it's here. Like, Solar, he was so tunnel visioned. He was so tunnel visioned. Now, all my concerns don't really mean anything if Zoun doesn't break out. Nice storm, but the wall is open. Yeah, the wall is open. High Templar goes down. Banelings roll into the mineral line. There's an opening here. Zoun is taking damage. Nice warp in defensively. Oh, the Banelings! Oh my god. Yeah, probes, they survive. Zoun is now securing his 5th base. And Zoun, he's snowballing out of control here. He's not being stopped. He had such a hard time getting a 4th, but now he's getting a 5th. And against Solar, he's still stuck on Ling Bane Hydra. He's still stuck, Backy. Hive is finishing up. So he's working on his Hive. A couple of Corruptors on the way that will help against the Sky Toss. But I'm still worried about the ground army. I'm worried about the ground toss. I'm worried about everything, really. It's just the death ball, Pappy. The cloak is premature. Yeah, Zoun does waste his cloak. Banelings, they roll in. Boys, they pull away. And we get one Baneling connecting. 5 probes. 5 probes go down. Zoun is still trying to max out. Nice little run by Lings, they flood in. The wall's not a wall. Yeah, the wall is open. Probes are going down. This is getting out of hand. 9 probe kills. 12. 13. Yeah, 13 probes. Aye. 15, 16. This one Zergling popping up in the natural. Yeah, messy defense here by Zoun. Losing far too much, more than he really should. So Zoun does miscontrol. We can see that Solar does not want to go into Lurker Tech, he's going into Ultras. Now, the issue with Ultra Tech is that it takes a longer time to get going. He needs to wait for +1 carapace, and +2 carapace, and +3, and kindness plating. The upgrades are lacking for Ultras right now. That's why typically Lurker Tech is a cleaner transition. Oh, the Hydras, no, they're getting caught out. Hydra's getting caught. And Zoun should push pre-Ultra. He should be able to move out soon. He's maxed. It is difficult to push just because there's so much creep and just because Solar has map control, but the reality is that Zoun, if he doesn't push soon, he's going to allow Solar to get into Ultras. To embrace his hype tech. And Zoun, he's getting picked apart a little bit here, losing one of the Tempest. Like Zoun, we can't just stay defensive here. We can't just stay turtling. Oh, yeah, Bane's get shut down. Nice defense. Cashing out a good chunk of Ling Bane. Solo once again moving in. Ultra production has begun. Zoun is taking too long. Yeah, he's taking too long. He's allowing Solar to refine his army. Up until this point, Solar would just die if Zoun pushed. Except for a surround, of course. But now with Ultras, now he has a way to push forward, to engage with the army. Now, the purpose of the Ultras and their role here, when it comes to the composition, is to get on top of the High Templar. The goal is to get on top of the Templar and either kill the Templar or force out all the storms. And if you can force out all the storms prematurely, thanks to the Ultras, then the rest of the army can excel. But those Ultras, their goal here is to get on top of those Templar. We'll see if they can. Ultra speed is on the way. Kindness plating is done. There's some okay storms here on the Hydras. Oh god, we stand in the storms. And nice cleanup. Zoun finally starts pushing, but again, Ultras are getting ready. We have 4 more Ultras on the way. That's going to be 8 Ultralisks. That's a lot of Ultras. The army gets caught, forced to recall. Messy push here from Zoun. Does kill an expansion at least. And now he confirms all the Ultralisks. And now Zoun, now he has incentive to stay at home. Now, because of all these Ultras, this typically does force a Robo response into a heavier Immortal count. Yeah, but you can see here on the production tab, a second Robo is on the way and Immortal production has begun. So he's switching into Immortals. Now Zoun is stuck at home until he builds up the Immortal count. God damn it. Oh, he's stuck at home. The High Templar, they almost overextend. Okay, Templar pull away. Solar, he's throwing away some Ultras. Get a heavy Archon count. That's a lot of Archons. Zell take the northern base. What's important as well is that Solar's base count is actually quite low. Even though Solar has had map control, he has a very low base count. So this is also one of the reasons why Zoun hasn't been pushing. There's no rush, right? There's no rush. You can see there's 3 expansions on the bottom right and 1 expansion center left that have never been taken. They can eventually belong to Zoun. And now here he comes. Here comes the main push. After 20 minutes, he finally pushes. And with this amount of Archons, can he shut down the Ultras? Ultras, they try to collapse in. They're getting on top of the Archons. The storms are connecting. Archons are going down. And the Ultras, are they enough? They're not. Yeah, not enough Ultras here. GG gets called. Zoun overwhelms. And Zoun, he will claim the series 2-0. He will advance on into GSL round of 8. GG. GG, well played. Solar, ooh, instantly does disconnect. Solar, he's out of GSL. Again, Solar, he's one of the best Zerg players in the world. True, 100%. He's one of the best Zergs. But alas, he is knocked out of the first round of GSL. GG. GG, well played. Now, talking a little bit about the game itself and talking a little bit about the occurrence here of Game 2 specifically, if you remember, Solar, he had the edge. He had the lead. Solar was containing Zoun on a very low base count, if you recall, and we were praising Solar, but then we did take notice here that there was a moment where it's like, hold on, this is looking like game 2 on Mothership of the previous series. We spoke about that, about how very similarly, Solar, he was denying the 4th base, denying the 4th base, denying the 4th base, and then Zoun pushed. And it was similar here, where Solar was denying the 4th base over and over again. Solar was banking up some resources. Oh, we have winners interview. Hold on. We have the winners interview.
Ask you, today we saw you play PvZ in 3 different best of 3s. It was a little bit shaky versus Rogue, but versus Solar, you looked absolutely on point. How do you feel about your confidence in that matchup right now?
일단 박한수 선수 승리 축하드리고요. 일단 첫 번째 질문은
They're asking about his EVP.
푸저전을
I would want the question to be a little bit more pointed, specifically about his build going 6 gate. Going early Twilight Council, late upgrades, early 6 gate. I want to hear the rationale behind it.
좀 자신감이 좀 생긴 것 같은데
'Cause it's very unique.
어떠신지 궁금합니다.
일단 전날에 도호 형이 그 서프전 빌드 개념을 하나 알려줬어요. 그래서 이거 엄청 좋은데?
I feel like the question was too general.
자신감이 생겨가지고 그게 좀 기반이 되지 않았나 싶습니다.
Well, yesterday before the match, actually Classic guided me
Ooh.
on some builds and
Oh.
some macro play, so I think that helped me really well.
Nice. Well, I had another question about your build orders coming into this one. We saw in the very beginning of today, you played a wide variety of strategies, especially versus Solar. The proxy gateway blink timing attack was really cool. But then as the game went on, you kind of tried to slow everything down and play more macro games. Can you tell me about that?
일단 오늘 좀 다양한 양상의 푸저전을 좀 많이 보여주셨어요. 또 첫 번째 세트에서
I'm not too fond of the
첫 번째
framing
경기,
there.
첫 번째 세트에서 또 전멸 추적자 올인을 했던 것도 그렇고 그 이후에는
He
근데
still went
또
Glaives, if you remember.
올인을 가지 않고 굉장히 좀 이렇게 운영 위주의 좀 스타일을 가시면서 했는데 좀 어떤 것들을 좀 많이 준비하셨는지 좀 궁금합니다.
일단 첫 번째 이제 민수 형이랑 했을 때 제가 원래 점추 빌드 뽕을 쳐서 민수 형한테 이겨본 적이 없어요. 근데 꼭 이기고 싶어가지고 그거를 썼는데 그 빌드가 통하고 나서 오늘 되는 날이다 싶어서 약간 2세트는 약간 천천히 하는 식으로 플레이를 했고 병렬이 형이랑 했을 때는 제가 좀 실수를 되게 많이 해서 그 점이 좀 많이 아쉬웠고 이제 마지막에는 이제 병렬이 형이랑 했을 때 너무 급해서 진 것 같다 이런 결론을 내려서 마지막에 민수 형이랑 했을 때는 좀 천천히 하는 플레이를 위주로 하려고 했어요.
Yeah, so in the first initial matchup against Solar, actually I never won against Solar with that all-in build
Yeah, with egg
with
gate.
Blink Stalkers.
Mhm.
So that's why I kind of felt, oh, this is my night when I finally succeeded against him in this match. So I kind of dialed down a little bit in later games. So I think the macro build actually pretty well. And the game against Rogue, actually, I made a lot of mistakes. It's mostly because I try to push myself so far. So I kind of feedback myself onto the next match against the rematch against Solar to just dial down a bit, just be calm as possible, and try to make less mistakes as possible. So I think that was pretty good refresher on that match.
Got it. And last question for you, Zoun, really quick. So at the end of the game, you basically built what was, in my opinion, the perfect Protoss army. But I wonder if you could change anything about that army, because you seem like you really wanted to
More
maximize
modals.
the Archons. Would you change anything, or do you think that was just the perfect composition to have in the situation?
이제 마지막 경기에서
I don't think it
정말
was perfect.
끝까지 어떻게 보면 좀 조합을
Like,
좀 많이 신경을
that-
썼던 것 같아요. 막
I mean, we'll see what Zoun says, but like, Zoun was switching into immortal production, and ideally he would have had more immortals to have an easier fight against the ultras.
위주로 좀 많이 꾸렸는데 박한수 선수가
Like, he was very
생각하기에는
Archon heavy,
그런
which was not ideal. He was just kind of making use of what he had, because he wasn't
좀
ready for the
얼마나
ultras
좀
at the
많이
time.
모아야 되는지.
일단 기본적으로 폭풍함이 좋아요. 그래서 좋아가지고 거의 4기 유닛급이라 인구수도 4고 해서 한 줄이면 충분할 것 같고 나머지는 악한 집정관 위주로
Yeah, he brought up
뽑으시면은
Archon
되게
there.
여러분들 편할 겁니다.
Yeah, so basically, like I wanted to make my Tempest count much more as possible because
Mhm.
Tempest is actually a very good unit with force supply and actually very I would say OP level. So yeah, I think I try to make at least 8 Tempest
Mhm.
as possible, and then I will just stack Archons as much as possible to support the ground.
Okay, awesome. Congratulations again on your victory, Zoun. How far do you expect to go this season of GSL?
이제 8강에 진출하셨는데 좀 어디까지 올라가실 수 있을 것
I mean,
같은지
Zoun,
궁금하네요.
he wasn't very confident in his comment earlier.
일단 8강에서 좀 올라가면은 그래도 결승 노려볼 수 있지 않을까. 8강을 뚫어야 이게 보이거든요. 다전제 기운이. 네, 저는 다전제가 좀 자신 있어가지고 8강만 좀 뛰어넘으면 어떻게 결승까지 비빌 수 있지 않을까라는 생각을 하고 있습니다.
Yeah, the only big obstacle I think myself is actually round of 8. So if I can make through round of 8, I think I can get through the finals. I think I'm pretty confident in the best of 5s and best of 7s. So yeah, I think the point is I think I must go through the round of 8 to get much higher. If I can get through that, then I'm pretty much confident.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Good luck in the tournament. All right, guys, that's a wrap. 2-0,
Okay.
2-0, 2-0-2? 2-0, okay.
Okay, hold on. Okay, let's get back into it. So, yeah, I mean, Tasteless and State, I mean, they're not known for their interviews, they're not known for their questions, to be fair, so I don't want to be too harsh on them, but I feel like the questions asked were very generalized, and I feel like, okay. I'm reminded of when I had to do some interviews for ANZ Champs, and the first answer that Zoun gave was actually really good because it gives you something to latch onto. What I mean by that, the first question was really general about his EVP, which was kind of weird. But Zoun, he actually gave an insightful answer. What did Zoun say? Zoun, he said, oh, like, I wasn't really feeling too confident, but I actually got some help from Classic earlier. Once a player like gives you a little bit of information like that, like a little thread, you pull on that thread. Like as an interviewer, it's because that's like interesting. It's like, oh, like so Classic helped you out. Like, are you good friends? Like, does he often help you out? Does he often give you advice? Have you gone to other top Korean pro players like Hero, for example, for help and for advice as well? Then you can branch out a little bit further because his team is onside, of course, but he's the only Protoss player on onside, right? He's got Ryung, he's got Maru alongside him, you know. Then you can like have some fun with it and like ask him like, like, does it feel lonely being the only Protoss player on onside? Like, do your other teammates ever help you? You know, what does Ryung do for you? Then you can like poke some fun at Ryung as well, because there's always banter with Ryung. Ideally in an interview like setting like that, it's like, even though you have like some pre-written down questions, if they aren't really too, if the pre-written down questions aren't really too important, or you can go back to them later, like usually you latch on to something like that once the player gives you something to work with. So I would say the first answer was actually really interesting, really cool from Zoun, that he didn't really have to divulge that. I would have preferred if they had latched onto that instead of like asking like, oh, do you think you built like the perfect Protoss army, or like how confident are you like going further in the tournament, like these very like general basic questions. But at the same time, like again, Tasteless and State, they're not known for being interviewers, they're not known for like being in that kind of situation and trying to like get more information or get more out of the players in this more like one-on-one setting. What I will say is that I'm a little bit surprised that we had the interview to begin with. What I mean by that is that usually the interviews are done in Korean, right? You have the Korean casters, they conduct the interviews themselves, and then you have the just the translations given to the English side of things. I don't think we've ever seen a situation, I could be wrong, but maybe you can correct me in the chat. I believe we've never actually had a situation where the English casters directly ask questions to the Korean player. Usually it's done from the Korean side of things, from the Korean commentators, right? And it's usually the Korean casters that are there just to hear and just to react to the questions being asked. So so that was interesting. That was really cool. I'm hoping that maybe that motivates Tasteless and State to have these winners interviews for RSL. That's one of our biggest criticisms for RSL, is that RSL is another big event that's going on, and I would love to have, you know, some interviews like this to actually hear from the players. So shout out to GSL for providing for that. Shout out to Maddox for being the translator, for translating and for providing some insight from the players, and for providing all that information, of course. So much love to Maddox, and here are our patrons as well. A big shout out to the supporters over on Soup and supporters on Patreon. If you want to help support this event and allow for season 3 of GSL to actually come to pass and come to fruition, then do support over on GSL, over on Patreon, or over on Soup as well. Both are different platforms to support the event, to fund the event, to allow for more GSL to continue in 2026 and many years onward as well. True. So much love to Soup, much love to GSL. Shout out to Intel, of course, for being the main sponsor of the event, as we are wrapping up for the night, and we'll be back tomorrow with Group B of GSL. See you soon. See you tomorrow.